Hello Marvel fans, and welcome to my next Iron Man review, where today I review the 2010 sequel to Iron Man, Iron Man 2, directed by Jon Favreau and released in 2010. So, I move on from the first Iron Man film to the second Iron Man film. So, the plot of Iron Man 2 is that basically it's kind of about a lot of things. Tony Stark has obviously revealed his identity as Iron Man to the world, and the government want him to turn over his suit because they believe that he is inflicting more danger upon the world. Meanwhile, his father's old rival, Anton Vanko, dies, and Anton's son, Ivan, has some designs or something and makes this electric suit and then tries to destroy Tony's legacy. He also does this by teaming up with the weapons developer, Justin Hammer, who's a rival to Tony Stark as well. And they both try to destroy his legacy. Meanwhile, Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. are trying to mosey in on Iron Man to try and join the Avengers. Pepper has become CEO of Stark Industries, and Tony is trying to solve the riddle of his heart through not only trying to cure his health because he's dying, but also the relationship between him and his father. He goes back and tries to resolve that. So, Iron Man 2, yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell what it's about. So, Iron Man 2, I liked it. I liked it enough, you know, it's a perfectly adequate sequel. There's nothing special about it, you know, but it's good. Some people who call this the worst movie in the MCU, I really think that is unfair. I really don't think it's the worst film of the MCU. It's certainly the worst film of the Iron Man trilogy. That's for certain. But do I think it's bad? No, of course I don't. There's a lot to like in this film. First of all, I have to say I think the movie isn't perfect. No way is it perfect. It isn't as good as the first one, but there is still a lot of fun to be had with Iron Man 2. First of all, the cast. Robert Downey Jr., once again, excellent as Tony Stark. He brings the same amount of wit to the role. This time he kind of brings in more of an emotion, well, the same sort of emotional side of Stark that we saw in the first one, although we see him trying to deal with the sort of unhinged relationship between him and his father. Though his father's dead, he goes back to look at these old film reels of stuff that his father recorded for him. So it's really interesting to see how that unfolds. And obviously, S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to mosey their way into him to try and get him to. They're trying to get the Avengers together, so this is part of that story. By which we also have Scarlett Johansson in this movie as Black Widow for the very first time. Actually, she's pretty good in this film. She's basically there to look hot and kick loads of ass, to which she does her job very well. But yeah, obviously we learn more about her character as the series would progress, as in the Marvel series would progress. But her debut appearance is pretty good in Iron Man 2. She's pretty cool. She's certainly good to look at. And, you know, she's pretty good too. Yeah, she's good. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. I actually think this is a great performance from her. She's really good in this film. And, you know, I really like what they did with her character. They make her the CEO of Stark Industries. She has a bigger role than she did in the first one. The first one, she was Tony's PA. This time, she has much more of a leadership role, and she's also trying to keep him, still trying to keep him under control. And obviously, during his birthday party, when he gets drunk, that doesn't really happen very well. And she's pushed to the very edge, and we start to really sort of see Tony and Pepper's romance developing. They do squabble like a married couple quite a lot in this film. It does make for some entertaining stuff. The film does not star Terrence Howard. Oh no, he's out of the picture. He has been recast by Don Cheadle. I believe they sacked him, or he complained about his salary in the first Iron Man film, that he didn't get paid enough. So, well, why should we work with him if he's going to be like that? So they recast him. We now have Don Cheadle, who plays Rhodey. And to be honest, I actually prefer Don Cheadle in the role. I mean, Terrence Howard was fine, but I think Don Cheadle has so much more charisma. And you really believe that he and Tony have more of a relationship. I mean, Terrence Howard was fine, as I said. He was perfectly fine in the role, but he didn't really do much in the first film. So yeah, it's a shame that we can't go back and replace him with Don Cheadle in the first one, but still, he would still carry on to play Rhodey in Iron Man 3 and in the Avengers films. I think he'll be in Infinity War as well. He's in Age of Ultron as well, Avengers Age of Ultron, and he will be in Infinity War. And I think he's in Civil War too, of course, Captain America Civil War, he's in that. But he's very good in this film. And obviously there is a moment when him and Tony have a fight in his house. Tony has a birthday party, he gets pissed in the suit. He actually pees in the suit, which is quite funny. And then he tells everyone to go, and then he's like, "You don't deserve to wear one of these suits." And then they start having a fight in the house, which is quite entertaining. So you see that Rhodey's been pushed to the edge by this point. He's had enough of Tony. Tony's being an arsehole, and he doesn't appreciate what he does for him. So yeah, it's interesting to see how the relationship changes between the first film and the second film. I mean, in terms of other characters, Nick Fury makes his debut appearance. Well, actually, no, wrong. He appeared at the end of the first movie in the end credits scene, which was cool. In this one, he has more of a role. He's good. I like his scenes. And the villains. If I have to say a weak character, it would definitely be the villains. Both of them. They're just not very good. With Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, he's alright, but he does get on my nerves a little bit. I find him to be a little bit annoying at times. He's just very theatrical, I guess is the word to use. He's kind of over the top and overzealous. He's just slightly irritating. There's just something about him that I just don't quite like. And the other one is Ivan Vanko, who's Whiplash. He's okay. I mean, he's probably the better of the two, but he doesn't really do much. He has like one fight scene with Tony, and then another one at the end, and then during the middle, he just doesn't do anything in the movie. He's just building the suits, and he's like operating the drones. As a character, he just doesn't do much. But oh well. Oh well. The movie's got some good action sequences. Like I said, there's a good scene on the racetrack in Monaco. The final climax of the movie is entertaining. Even though the final fight with Whiplash is a little bit anticlimactic, it just kind of ends. It's very quick. It doesn't last very long. And obviously the fight in Tony's house when he's drunk is quite funny. I just think Iron Man 2 suffers from some clunky storytelling. It's certainly an entertaining film, like in its own right, but it doesn't have the natural flow of the first one. It does have the dramatic weight of the first one, but it doesn't have the structure of the first one. Its structure is a little bit all over the place. You know, you've got all these different plots going on. You know, you've got Tony dying. I mean, the whole thing is very contradictory. It's like the device is keeping him alive is killing him. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Can you explain that, please? So that was a bit of a mess. Pepper becoming CEO, that was an interesting thing. I mean, you've got the whole Avengers thing, so that's a third plot. You've got, you know, the government trying to get Tony to hand over the suit. That's like the fourth plot. And you've got, you know, Ivan Vanko and Justin Hammer trying to build these drones to replace the military and basically make Iron Man look like an antique. So there's like 5 different plots going on all at once. Actually, no, 6. 6, because Tony is also, you know, trying to discover his father's legacy and trying to uphold his father's legacy. So there's like 5 or 6 different plots going on. Man, oh man, this thing is bloated. It is cluttered as fuck. I mean, come on, Jon Favreau, you're better than this. You've done better stuff than this before. I mean, Jon Favreau's in the movie as well as Happy Hogan. Happy Hogan gets more of a part in this film, which is good, I suppose. But I can't lie to you guys. Well, I mean, there's probably a bit more action than there is in the first one. That doesn't really account for the slightly clunky storytelling, which is a shame. I mean, the CGI and visual effects are good. It certainly looks lavish. But as a film, it feels a bit rushed as well. I think they needed to spend a little bit more time on it. I think they should have released it in 2011 instead of 2010. But nevertheless, you know, I'm not going to write off Iron Man 2. I think, whilst it is the weakest of the trilogy, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's adequate, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense, and the storytelling can be a little bit jumbled at times. But what is at its heart is the dramatic weight of it with Tony's father and his relationship to him, the romance between him and Pepper, and all the excuse me, all of the character beats that we get are very good. But it just doesn't hang together very well. It really doesn't hang together. The villains are crap. The villains suck. The action is good, if a little brief. And it doesn't have the natural flow that the first one did. The first one had a great emotional arc about Tony seeing the world in a different light after his experience in the terrorist camp. This, he gives up. He starts drinking and fumbling around. Well, I mean, people complain about that. I don't see that so much as a bad thing, really. I mean, because at the end of the day, the guy thought he was dying. So, you know, sometimes you don't always know what to do. Sometimes, you know, he probably thought, well, if I'm going to die, this is my last chance to really just go wild and do something outlandish. And that's ultimately what happens. But it's not the same Tony Stark that we saw in the first one. But, excuse me, I still think there is enough. It's good enough. You know, there are entertaining scenes for us to enjoy, but it just comes at a price of the film not being structured quite well. Jon Favreau's direction is fine, but I think he struggled to put this together in a matter of 2 years after the first one, and I think you should have spent more time on it. Really, you should have asked the studio, well, can't we just release it in 2011? You know, to be honest, delaying the film to get a better one is better than rushing one out and ended up being worse. That's, you know, that's what happens with some movies, and this is one of those movies. But yeah, I like Iron Man 2. I do like it. And I would watch it again. It's in my collection. I have it right here on Blu-ray. But it's definitely the weakest of the 3. So, I am going to rate Iron Man 2 a 7 out of 10. Are you women who want a man on the street? Don't know which way you want to turn. Just keep it coming and put your head up to me, 'cause I'm the one who's gonna make you burn. I'm gonna take it down. It's good. It's definitely not the worst of the MCU. I don't know why people would ever think that. I mean, come on, guys. There are worse films in the MCU. I mean, it's a lot better than Thor: The Dark World. It's a lot better than The Incredible Hulk. And it's a lot better than Captain America: The First Avenger, in my opinion. So, you know, give Iron Man 2 a bit more credit from where it's due. You know, there are some good things in there. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about Iron Man 2. So, stay tuned next time when we review Iron Man 3, the third and final film of this trilogy, which was released in 2013, so a good 3 years after this. Although, obviously, it's more of a sequel to Avengers Assemble, but I'll talk more about that in the next review. And then I will review Ant-Man, and then on to the MCU ranking. So, thank you guys all for watching. What do you think of Iron Man 2? Please put your comments down below, let me know. Stay tuned for the Iron Man 3 review, and until then, thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.